Well, how's it going? My name's Brennan Coleman, as Jackie said, and basically I wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit. There's a lot of tech talk going on, and I kind of want to give you a little break from that and talk more about something that I'm really passionate about. That's one, entrepreneurship, and the other is team sports. A little background on me. I went to the Air Force Academy and I played Division I lacrosse there. Sports have been my life all the way up until recently, where I kind of switched to more becoming entrepreneurial. But basically, like, I want to talk with you today about what I learned at team sports, the values, the leadership lessons, how I can apply that to leading a company, and how there's very similarities on that. So a little background on our company. Like Jackie said, we use IBM's Watson, and we leverage travelers' social media, and then we create personalized suggestions. And travel is one of my other passions. I'm really excited about that, to try to make reach like everyone what they can reach, basically their dream trip. So before I go into this, it's funny when you talk about when you have a speech in an area where there's a lot of people, you can actually look out and kind of see people making a huge effort to not make eye contact with you, which is really funny. I get to look out and everyone's kind of like looking away from me, but come on in, check me out, all that. So basically, one of my coaches that I'm really close with, he said one time, preseason, the season, the championships, that's the three parts. And basically the preseason, that's 70% of what actually goes into it. And you can kind of compare this to everything leading up to the launching your business, launching the app, whatever it is. That's the preseason, that's the practice, that's the testing, all that. And then the season is once you launch it and you're growing, and that's about 25%. And then finally you reach the championship, and that's basically reaching your goals, what you wanted to accomplish, and all that. So talking about the preseason, the first is the choice. It's the choice to participate on that team. It's the choice to lead that team. And that's similar to making a commitment to take your idea that you wrote on a napkin and make it a reality. And then from there, then you have to look, you're like, okay, look at my team. How do I build my team? How am I going to set my team up for success? And this is actually one of the most important parts of everything. Your people are the reason that you succeed, and that's something I learned really early, is that you can't go out by yourself and do anything. You need a team that is almost better than you to get to where you want to succeed. And a little story about the team, actually, I want to go to a quote, and this is from Vince Lombardi, basically saying individual commitment to a group effort, that is what makes a team work, a company work, a society work, and a civilization work. And that's kind of encompasses everything. Like, this is a tech conference, and I'm talking about team sports, but this quote kind of covers all of it. So next, after that, once you figure out your team, you need to create like a team that is built upon like extreme trust. And I've been part of all-star teams, and I've been part of a team that has really gelled. And one thing I've learned is basically an all-star team, it's an absolute mess. Everyone's out there for the good of themselves. And that's something I can bring over to Nativx, the experience that I have there, is that like, you don't need the best people. You don't need to go out and get the best people possible. What you can do is you can find the people that fit what you want to accomplish, and that can complement you and everyone else on the team. People that are passionate about the goal that you have. That's a lot more powerful than just getting the best software developer, the best CEO, all of that. You need to be able to get a team that gels together and works together. So then the next thing is your goals, and this is from a leader. Like, this is something that should keep you up at night. I know it did keep me up at night, especially playing at the Air Force Academy, setting a goal for the team. And this is, I've set really bad goals where I've said, we're going to make the championship with the team that we have. And it ended up, wasn't necessarily reachable, and it actually was pretty toxic. So got to be able to experiment on the different goals that you're setting and make sure that it's reachable, but it's also challenging the team. And that's one thing that I learned really quickly is one of the most difficult things to do and kept me up at night. So then you have like your identity. What do you want your team to be? What do you want your company to be? This is basically your mission statement, your vision statement, your brand, basically creating this identity of who you want to be. At the Air Force Academy, for our lacrosse team, not gonna lie to you, we didn't have the best skills on the team, but one thing our coach and what I wanted to do leading that team is basically say, okay, we're going to be the hardest working, most in shape team, and we're gonna be able to use that in the fourth quarter when everyone else is tired, we're gonna be able to keep moving. And we actually were able to beat teams that were definitely a lot more skilled, had better recruits out of high school, just because we were harder working and we kept moving into the fourth quarter. And that's what you need. You need people on your team for business that are willing to, when it does get really tough, not just kind of give up, that they can keep going, have fuel in the tank, that second win. Those are the kind of guys that are really, really valuable. So then, basically, the biggest part of the preseason is the practice. So every new thing that you do, sometimes you can feel overwhelmed. All of us have felt overwhelmed at one point, whether it's Michael Jordan, Steve Jobs, whoever it is. At one point, they had to start somewhere and they felt overwhelmed. And that is something that, like the practice, we practice to gain this experience. Now, I'm up here as a 23-year-old talking about team sports and being a co-founder and CEO of a company. And one thing is, like, I definitely have felt overwhelmed throughout this because everyone's told me I'm too young, I'm not experienced enough. And the one story I want to tell you is about when I went in freshman year to the Air Force lacrosse team. I was overwhelmed. I had no idea what was going on. And the first day of practice, I got lit up. I mean, I'm talking like this would be on Sports Center's top 10 hits of all time. And I was just so overwhelmed at that point. I was like, what the heck am I doing here? All that. But then as I kept at it, practiced all that, I realized, you know what, this isn't as overwhelming as I thought originally. I've been in this experience before. I know not to do exactly what got me lit up like that. And just learning these experiences, that's more important than kind of just age. I know we have this ideology of that age equals experience. And to some aspect of it, it does, because you experience more, but you gain experience through experiencing. So you can be older, but if you don't have the experience of going through starting your own company, being able to deal with the setbacks and all that, then like age doesn't necessarily matter. And one thing about being a younger founders is you're kind of desperate to learn. And one thing I learned from being a freshman on the team, I had to go and talk with the upperclassmen because they've been there, done that. And that's something I take to Nativx, is that I go, when I don't know something, I don't act like I know it. I go out and I seek someone that does, and that's like a very valuable aspect because, obviously you're not going to be able to know everything, and it's going to be stressful because you're expected to know everything. But if you surround yourself with advisors, other teammates that are really impressive and that can complement you, you'll be able to gain this experience through just talking with people. Like look at someone like the Snapchat founders. They're young, but they're able to run a multi-billion-dollar company because they asked for help and they were desperate to be able to gain this experience in a short period of time. So then we get to the season, and this is kind of where all this practice has been leading up to. First aspects of the season is the management. As a leader on the team, you have to go into it and manage the time, you have to put out fires, you have to deal with relationships with the team. And one thing is that like you are in control of all this. And the best managers, the best leaders, they understand that when things are going really well, you give praise to your other teammates. You give praise to the people that have got you there. But when things are going really bad, it's on you. It's your responsibility. Like you take credit for it. even if maybe it didn't directly affect, like you weren't a direct effect of it, the fact that you were leading everyone, like that is your responsibility. And so that's one thing I learned, is that like I took it upon myself when we gave up a big lead or we lost a game that we shouldn't have. That was one thing I really learned, and that's what I bring to Nativx. And then you have, like, obviously what I talked about is the responsibility. And this is something that, you know, as I want to go back to my freshman year, because I actually learned a ton freshman year. I was lucky enough to start right away. And so immediately, people that were 2-3 years older than me, upperclassmen, they relied on me for leadership, and they relied on me to kind of guide them. And that's something that I've learned to actually really enjoy is I had a lot of responsibility even as a freshman, and people looked up to me. It didn't really matter the age, but it was really important that I could kind of take the pressure of that responsibility and build off of it. So then you talk about the tempo. There's going to be times that are really exciting in business, times that are not so exciting, those ups and downs. Being able to manage the clock, so to speak, that's basically the tempo. Manage the clock of your business. So when things go really well, you're able to manage the expectations, and when things go really bad, you're able to kind of handle it, get everyone being like, it's not the end of the world. And that's one thing I learned through all these failures. Because one thing about sports is everyone will tell you, like Michael Jordan says, you know, he's failed so many more times than he's actually succeeded. He's missed so many different shots, instead of, like, you know, the one shot, that famous 1989 shot. He's like, and that's what made me really great, is that I look at failure as a different thing than just like, oh, it's the end, like failure. He looked at it as a positive. He can learn from it. He's got to work harder, and that's something. Every time I failed, instead of kind of backing out and be like, oh, kind of give up, I actually was able to be like, okay, this just means that I got to work harder. And that's something that I try to bring into the culture of Nativx, is that failure is a good thing because it kind of tells you what you're doing wrong the hard way. So you can learn through that experience that, you know, people can tell you you're failing and that all that, but until you actually fail and you have that feeling, that's when you know that failure is not actually a bad thing and it can really help you out. It just tells you that you're doing something wrong and you have to work a little harder sometimes. One thing about the season is you're always going to have these setbacks, these failures, and a little story. It's actually from our CTO. He's also at Harvard lacrosse, and his coach once told him, he said, Sean, you got to have a short memory in this game. You make a bad play, so what, next play? And he actually used this. He said, this is what you do. You do 2 pumps to the chest, reset. And that's actually something that's sweeping Harvard lacrosse, and everyone that I basically talk about is this reset movement, which it's so simple. It's basically reset, take a deep breath, back out, but it's something that really resonates with people because it can be applied to sports. You make a bad play, you turn the ball over, quick reset, short memory, next play, don't worry about it. Same thing with business. You don't get that sale that you want, you make the wrong decision, quick reset, next play, figure out what you're gonna do to fix it. And I hope, you know, I can see you all around here. You make a mistake, all I see is someone going like this, 2 pumps to the chest, reset. That's what I'm hoping that we can get to. I'd be excited to see that as I'm walking around, see random people going 2 pumps to the chest, reset. So then finally, once you get to the championship, this is the glory. This is what you know, all this hard work pays off. This is what you're really excited about. This is where all of that hard work, all of that blood, that sweat, it pays off, and that's like a great feeling. And something that, you know, after Michael Jordan made that shot, if you see his interviews, it's not talking about the shot at all. It's talking about the team and the moments leading up to it, the hard work, all the hours in the gym leading up to it. Because he said the shot's the easy part. That's your, you know, let's say you wanted to raise money. That was your goal. That's where you're at. But that's the easy part, is actually getting the money. The hard part is all the work that leads up to that aspect. And that's what Michael Jordan said, is he doesn't really think about the shot as much as he thinks all of the hard work that led up to that shot. The shot was the easiest part. And one thing about leaders that I learned and that I bring to Nativx with successes is you absolutely have to celebrate the success. You got to take some time and just appreciate where you got. And one of my coaches once told me, he said, there's no better feeling than seeing your teammates succeed, seeing the people you work with succeed, and great leaders find joy in that. And that's something that I really learned, is that because it's all this hard work and all this working with your teammates, you were able to help them succeed, and that's like a big part of the championship, the glory of it. And at the end of the day, though, there's always ways to innovate. There's always the next step, and what leaders need to understand is you got to look towards whether it's the next season or the next business move that you're looking to. That's what you celebrate all that, but then it's back to the drawing board, and you start over again. Hard work starts again. So I hope you enjoyed my talk. Hopefully it gave you a little break from all this tech talk. I think I have some time for questions if anyone has any. Nope. Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for listening with me.